Welcome back. Today, I'm going to talk to you about subject-verb agreement for the use with collective nouns. So let's get started. So to begin with, in order for you to decide what format of the verb, what type of the verb you should be using, you will have to identify the subject in the sentence, because the subject determines the type of the verb that you'll be using in that sentence. So in this specific topic, you will need to understand that subjects are divided into two groups. So we have he, she, it. In this case, we use is or was for those three. For he, she, and it, we will have to use either is or was. We use is for present tense, and we use was for past tense. We can also use he, she, it with verbs that use s or es at the end. For example, looks, runs, writes, goes, catches, etc. Okay, so let me repeat again. So if you see the subject, it's either he or she or it, we will use one of these. Is for present tense, was for past tense. Now, if there is no is or was, certainly there will be a verb. So for that verb, we will need to use the verb with s or s's. Sorry, s or es. That's what I mean. At the end of the verb. Now, another group of subject is I, you, we, and they. In this case, we will use are for present tense and were for past tense. And if you cannot see are or were, then certainly again, there will be a verb. And for this verb, we don't have to add s or es at the end. We simply use the verbs in their basic form. For example, look, run, write, go, catch, etc. Okay? Now, another thing that we will have to know about this subject-verb agreement in this particular topic, as I mentioned before, they'll be looking at collective subject. What does it mean by collective subject? Okay, so that means the subject is always gonna be one group or more than one groups. As simple as that. So you will have to pay attention to identifying whether the subject is just simply one group. In this case, one group means it. One group means it. And if there are groups of two or three or more, that means they. More than one, they. Now I'm going to go back to the previous slide. Here, I mentioned earlier, if it is one group, it is simply it. Then we'll be using either is, was, or the verbs in their forms that use s or es at the end. So if the collective subject is a group of 2, 3, or more, then they can be replaced in our head with they. So they are in this group. And in that case, we will have to use are or were. Are for present tense, were for past tense. Now, if you cannot see are or were, we just use the verb in its basic form, the one that doesn't require s or es at the end. Okay. Now, let's go through an example. Here you have a swarm of bees was flying or were flying across the city. So you will have to choose was flying or were flying. Which one is correct? Okay. Now, first of all, we will need to identify the subject. In this case, a swarm of bees. A swarm of bees. Next, a swarm of bees means one swarm. One swarm means one group. A swarm means a group, one group. So this is singular. Okay. So we can replace that with it. And as said earlier, for these three, where it is included here, we use either is or was. In this case, you can see was here. Okay, singular. So the correct answer is was flying. Because it is one group of bees, one swarm of bees, a swarm of bees. Let's go through some more examples. Here we have a band of musicians was performing or were performing in town. Again, let's start with identifying the subject. The subject here is a band of musicians. In this case, a band means one band, one group, not two, not three. So it is a singular group. As I mentioned before, a singular group can be used with is or was. Therefore, the answer is a band of musicians was performing in town last night. Okay, let's go through another example then, so that we can be clearer. Here we have herds of cows. Here we have herds of cows dies or die every year because of heavy floods in that region. The subject again is herds of cow. Herds of cows means more than one herd. Okay. Yes, in this subject, it doesn't specify whether there are 2 herds or 3 herds or more than 3 herds. Nobody knows. But we can see the word s added to the word herd. That means it's not a singular herd. Okay. It's not a singular group. So more than one herd means die. So for die, as we mentioned earlier, we use are or were if you can see them in the sentence. And if you cannot see them in the sentence, then we use the verb. We choose the verb in its basic form, the one without s or es at the end of the verb. Okay, another example. 2 packs of wolves is growling or are growling fiercely at each other. So step 1, you will have to find out which one is the subject. Can you tell me which one is the subject? Yes, 2 packs of wolves. Okay, that's the subject. And here it clearly says 2 packs of wolves, not 1 pack. Okay, it's already more than 1 pack. So 2 packs is plural. Therefore, we can replace that with they. And the answer would be are growling. Are growling, because for I, you, we, they, we choose are or were. In this case, are. Okay. Now, boys and girls, this is the last example of this topic today. Take a look clearly. Take a look carefully. A class of students is performing or are performing happily on the stage right now. So what is the subject? Can you tell me the subject? Yes, a class of students. A class of students. That's the subject. And here it says a class. A class. So just one class. Therefore, we can replace it with it. And for that case, what are we choosing for it? It uses is or are. Which one is correct? Is performing. That is right. Is performing. So that's what we learned earlier from slide number 1. For this group of subjects, for he, for she, and for it, we will choose is or was. And in this case, is, because it is present tense. It says here, right now, present tense. So the correct answer for this sentence is a class of students is performing happily on the stage right now. So I hope now you're very confident about this topic, subject-verb agreement. If you need to review the video again, or if you need to go through the examples one more time, you can always watch the video again at your own free time. So until we meet next time, bye.